In this segment, we're going to be taking a look at a practical example of some of the stuff that we've been talking about. Obviously, the focus of today is on automation. And you heard from Gary about some of the amazing things that can be done using automation, and you know, Lucy, a fantastic tool. We're going to be applying some of those ideas to the Exo system. We're going to explore that by using an end-to-end process that most of you will be familiar with, which is the creation of sales orders, processing those sales orders, picking them and supplying them, and then generating an invoice out the other end. But today we're going to import orders into Exo using a Vision K importer. Now, Vision K is a tool that allows us to do some validation checks within the Exo database to make sure that the file that we're importing is valid. It also allows us to schedule those imports, so we can have it running during the day on a routine, or we can import everything at night if that's preferred. Then we're going to take one of those orders and we're going to pick and pack it using the eveXso warehouse management system. And we can work through that. I'm going to be picking and packing off my phone. It is a really simple process, as we're going to see. Out of that process, consignment labels will be automatically generated and emailed to me. We've structured this so that it works better as a demo than what we'd normally do in a live situation. We'll talk about that in a little bit more when we get into it. And then finally, as part of the closure of that picking process, we're going to generate debtor invoices automatically through another process called auto invoicing, which, as we'll see, is going to automatically create the invoices at the end of that process. So before we get into it, I'd just like to acknowledge and thank Jason Wanby from eveXso, Philip Marks, Sam Lewis Roberts, Wilson Wong and Phil Smithwaite from Kilimanjaro Consulting for their enormous assistance in setting up this demo. Without them, I wouldn't have had anything to show you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick look at the file that we're importing. So I'm just going to minimize this and bring up this little slide here. Hopefully you can all see that. So today we're going to be working off an Excel file, and we're going to be importing what we've got here as 2 orders into our Exo system. Now, we're keeping it simple here, but think outside the box in terms of how we can bring information into Exo. It could be through a web sale. It could be through your CRM system. Just because I'm showing you an Excel file doesn't mean that that needs to be the source of the data. It can be pretty much anything that contains the information needed to create a sales order in Exo. And the reason why I'm showing you this file is because it's a really simple file. Like literally, those few columns of information is all I need to be able to create an order, or 2 orders in this case, in the Exo system using the Vision K importer. So let's make a start. I'm going to bring up my importer tool. Here it is here. I've got a file already and set to go. We could, as I mentioned earlier, we could schedule that import and have it running on a regular cycle. So manual intervention is not actually even needed. It'll just literally run automatically. But for the purposes of demoing, we're going to go with importing it manually. So let's take a look at our file. So we can see we've got 3 lines on each order, 2 orders. Validation checks, as I said earlier. We got no validation errors in this order, but if there were any validation errors, we'd have the opportunity to either recreate the file, fix it within the file, or we could make the corrections directly within the screen and fix it up. So really simple. All I need to do is hit post, and that will go through and create those orders inside our Exo system. So let's go into our Exo system and take a look. Here are the 2 orders that we've just imported. 55 and 56. Now let's go into one of those orders and we're going to set it up ready to be picked and packed using our eveXso system. All we need to do is flag the order as being ready to send to our WMS system, our warehouse management system. Take a quick look at our order. Yep, looks great. Unsupplied at this stage. But what we now have is an order that's been sent through to our WMS system. Now, in our EXO that we've got set up here on our sales order screen, we've got a few extra fields that tell us information around our eveXso system. So we can see in this case, our order's now been sent to eveXso, gives us the time that it was exported and the phase within the picking process that it's currently sitting at. So now what I'm going to do is connect my phone to a screen sharing device. I'll just drag that over. Here we go. And open up our eveXso. So it's going to do a quick refresh, make sure our order has come through. And here it is right here, order 56. So in order to get started with picking that order, I swipe right. It comes naturally to many men. And then in order to carry out the picking process, the first step we need to do is create a pack that we're going to pack our items into. So again, I'm swiping right to create that pack. Here we go, packs 27. I can see my screen that I'm sharing with you is updating just about 2 seconds slower than on my phone, but we'll make sure that it works. Now, normally at this stage of the process within the eveXso system, you'd be in a warehouse and you'd be using your phone to scan each item, and simply by using the camera on your phone, you scan the barcode on each product as you're packing it into your carton or your pallet or whatever the container is that you're processing your pick into. In this case, for simplicity's sake, I'm simply, again, swiping right, let my finger do the walking. And because that's been configured within eveXso, I'm able to carry that out. I just need to get back to where I was. There we go. All right. Picking our first item. There are 3 items on our order, so we'll work through all 3 of them. The first one, there it is, being picked. Our second item, because we've got a quantity of 2, it's actually going to prompt me to enter in the quantity that I'm picking. And now we're on to our last item. Okay, so that's all of the goods on our order picked. I can now complete my pick, and it'll ask me to then pack those items into the pack that we just created earlier. So imagine me physically putting stuff in a box. Now close the pack and complete the order. Obviously, what I'm demoing here is just a small fraction of what you can do within the eveXso system. Gary earlier was talking about the supply side processes, raising purchase orders and then receiving goods in, stock takes, etc., all of which can be carried out inside of eveXso, and it's an amazing system. If you are curious about this or anything else that we're looking at today, reach out to your support partner and we can order a custom demo for you. Okay, so we've completed our picking and packing within eveXso. We're now going to go back to our sales order. But before we go on and take a look at the outcome of that, here is the consignment label that I was talking about earlier. So that's just been emailed through to me. So obviously, normally in a warehouse, that would go straight to a printer, but for demo purposes, we set it up to email through. And so that consignment slip is now there, and we can just slap that on the box and send it off to be shipped. Now, if we take a look at our finished order, we can see that it's now fully processed, and even within our Exo statuses, it's showing as fully processed. So as part of this automation that we've set up, as I said earlier, we're actually automatically invoicing out these orders, or automatically generating the invoices as part of this process using auto invoice. So let's go and take a look at that. I'll drill down into the order and then jump straight into our debtor account. Here we have our invoice. We can see that the reference one matches the sales order that we created earlier. And if we double click on this, we can see here's our invoice. All done and dusted with minimal intervention, minimal swivel chair activity, as Gary was referring it to.